dynamic after a couple losses when you have a freshman quarterback versus a senior quarterback like Manny last year? What's that like, and who are some of the voices that you think are really helpful to the team in that situation?
Yeah, that's a good question. You definitely you start looking at your seniors and your older guys, and you would like to look at guys that are on the front lines, because those are usually the guys that are the Coles, the Steve Millers, the Alex Lasoyas, those guys that have been around here that have had experience of winning games, losing games, the mindset. How do you attack that? How do you approach that? And so, that's the thing. When I was on the phone last night, called every offensive lineman, just talking to them about their thoughts, their attitudes, where's the team at, the temperament of the team, and everything seems to be great, and the guys are just wanting to get the bad taste out of their mouth. But, to answer your question, you just you look for the older, experienced guys to do that and lead these guys in the right way.
You're very energetic and, kind of motivating. Do you, ask players to execute certain things in that regard to keep, the focus and the energy the way you want it to be?
Yes, there's times I tell the quarterbacks that, being a part of leadership sometimes is you got to create things. And sometimes you have to step outside of your comfort zone, and maybe a little bit. You don't want it to be fake energy and all of that enthusiastic. People see through that. It actually has a negative, deal to it, and so you don't want them to be fake. You want it to be authentic. But I do tell them, hey, this is the time where now you need to be a little more vocal. All right, this is a time where leadership is built in adverse times. It's easy to be a leader when it's sunny and 70 degrees outside. Anybody can do that. It's hard when everything is challenging all around you. And if you think you're out there leading and you turn around, nobody's following you. Somebody said before, that's just taking a walk, right? So you got to look back and people are following you. And I tell the quarterbacks, you ever want to be a great quarterback? I promise you the New England Patriots follow Tom Brady after a couple losses. They take his lead on what to do. And that's the kind of where you want to get to. And you need to start working on that now. And what a better time is in adverse situations. That's where leadership is built. And don't look at this as a negative thing. Look at this as a positive thing in your development as a quarterback and as a leader.
That Jaden was good at halftime during UCLA when you guys kind of mounted a pretty good comeback.
Yes.
What is it about Jaden, as he feels his way through this process that you're talking about, what is it about Jaden that stands out to you as positive or something that he's improving upon?
He's not emotional. He's just not. When you get, he doesn't, sometimes emotions can be definitely taken negative, and he's not like that. He's the same guy. He's very, very consistent. And when you're around him, it just has that it factor that you believe things are going to be okay. And that's the thing. And it's hard to put a finger on it. It's not words that he says. It's really not it's just how he carries himself every day. And he never gets too down, never gets too up. And I think that's the special quality that he has.
Speaking about that too, how does he bounce off guys like a who's a vocal leader and a leader? Even somebody like Kyle or something like that. How does that help his development, but help them kind of play off each other in that leadership?
Everybody does their leadership different, and once people figure out that you care, they give you a lot of grace for if your leadership comes across the wrong way. Somebody can yell at a guy, and then another guy yell at a guy, and there's probably going to be a fist fight. You know what I'm saying? And if I'm being serious, that's the way it is. But they'll look over at somebody like Eno, and Eno's getting on to him. It's yeah. You know why? Because he's laying his body out on the line, every time he touches the ball. So you garner this respect. And so leadership, man, it's so different, man, and it's so tough to teach nowadays. Me and Herm were talking about this. It is so hard because they're not used to it. Not like when we played. It's changed. We can say it hasn't. It's not true. It has. drastically. There's not as much holding each other verbally accountable and stepping out of that comfort zone anymore. Kids just don't do that. So when they do it, you know, you got to be careful because it could get turned into a hostile situation. So you're always monitoring, you're always talking to the kids about it. And I know I'm not answering your question like specifically, but I really don't know how to answer that. I just know that they all have different leadership styles, and some of them have the respect factor behind it, and that works. And Eno's one of those guys that does. And along with Jaden, and I've been around a lot of guys where it doesn't. And when they open up their mouth, things actually get worse. So you tell them to be quiet. And I've been around guys like that. And fortunately, we don't have those type of guys on offense.
You've got two freshman quarterbacks in this game. You know, what is your assessment on Jaden? And I know that you're on the offensive side of the ball,
But I've watched Keaton. I've watched him play.
differences and similarities between Keaton and Jaden.
Yeah, Keaton does it. You know what? He does a really good job of staying in the pocket and finding throws. I thought, man, the game it was really impressive the other night. And even though he threw a couple picks, I mean, that's going to happen in your development, especially the offense, you know, that they're running. If you want to do some research, go look and see how many interceptions Tim Couch threw in '98. You'd be like, wow, man, he threw that many interceptions? You know, but he lit the world on fire, and that's when the air raid started. And everybody's like, oh, my gosh. So you're going to have a higher amount of interceptions. So I wouldn't let that influence me how good of a player he is with the number of interceptions that he has right now. It comes with the offense.
I know you're really familiar with Clancy. How has he evolved essentially over the years? And what do you see as the hallmarks of what the defense is right now?
You know, it seems like they get pretty funky on third downs. You know, they're going to bring all kinds of stuff, and good luck trying to figure out, you know, what coverage it's going to be. They disguise cover two as good as anybody I've seen. Like, I thought Utah did a great job. They disguise their coverage as well. So they do a good job of disguising coverages. And thank goodness we don't run an offense that relies on a whole lot of coverage recognition and like, oh, we're going to call this play because I think it's going to be cover two. You better have catch-alls where that's going to be good against 3-2, man, 0. You always have an answer. You always know where to go with the ball as far as the quarterback. Because if you were a guy that was doing that, they would give you on third down, they'd hurt you, and they do. What I see him doing is letting his players play, letting them run to the ball. Oh my gosh, do those guys run to the ball, and are they athletic? The twitchiest defense we will face all year, without a doubt. Athletic on the front end, and they're going to run to the football. So it just represents a pretty big challenge. They were a little bit different last year going into the game than I see them now. I think that when you watch Clancy, he does a really good job of he game plans teams. And so, you got to kind of wait till you get in the game and you'll see something, a blitz you haven't seen before or a pattern. And so you just got to kind of work through it, get to the sideline and go, okay, well, this is what they're doing. And so you have to be a coach that can adjust, and players that can adjust, because that's kind of like what he does. He does a really good job of game planning against teams.